Today we're on set with Lifetime Developments and we produce a series of videos with a high-key corporate natural feel. So as you can see, we're in a set of a kitchen for the actual development property that we're looking at, and we kind of ran into a lot of problems when lighting this space because we were dealing with practical light sources and a lot of things in the way when we're actually lighting the subject. For the lighting, I'm going to start off with the key for the subject. So we have a Forza 500 on a light dome 2 with the grid attached as well as the diffusion paper. And then we have that shooting through a scrim, and that is hoisted up in the air on, like, I would say a 30-degree angle. Next, to set more room tone, we have a mix panel 150 set at 3200 Kelvin, and that's aimed straight up at the ceilings, shooting through a softbox as well. The first light to light the background was a Forza 60B shooting through a projector, and that's aimed right at the ceiling at 3200 Kelvin as well. The next thing is the practicals in the actual room. So we have strip lighting underneath the microwave and cabinets, and we used white gaff tape to actually diffuse those even further. They were really harsh and diffusion paper really didn't cut it, so we had to use white gaff tape, which could still spill through, but it cut a lot of the light. Speaking of cutting lights, there's pot lights in the ceiling, and to basically cut those out, we used black gaff tape, which just covered the whole outlet. Lastly, to add a little separation to myself from the background, we used a hair light. Luckily, there's actually a light fixture in the room, so we used a aperture bulb practical, and we set that to daylight to give some more color contrast between the orangish background and the daylight that's actually keying me. And to kill the spill, we used black gaff tape as a flag and to reflect it back into the subject that we have standing here. Lastly, to add some light to my shadow side, we just use a 4x4 bounce. Next thing I'm going to go into is talking about some of the problems that we ran into when lighting the space and also just shooting in the space in general. First problem that we ran into is getting more depth between our subject and background. In this situation here, we actually had to light two rooms. The first being the room in the background, and the second being the room where the subject is. Normally our key would sit right or left of the subject. In this case, we were keying right, and we want the key to be not as close as possible, but a fair distance. But we had a center fixture here that we couldn't actually move, so we had to push our key further back, and that runs into our next problem, which is the spill across the whole set. So to combat this, we set up a bunch of cutters, which were in the forms of 4x4 floppies, 18x36-inch flags, and also some diffusion shears that we clamped up on some stands as well. This is a pretty cool setup, and we learned a lot from this in terms of using practicals and what we can do with small things such as just white gaff tape, as you saw with the strip lights. This was a great experience for us, and the one thing that we learned is that you always light for the scene and not necessarily the person. In this case, we lit the background first, then the subject, and then we figured out the little details that we had to fix in terms of cutting light as well as diffusing it. If you guys have any questions about this lighting setup or any specific sets that you want to see in the future, please let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.